Taiwan's readmission to the World Health Organization is a subject that has grown in importance ever since the COVID-19 pandemic's outbreak. It is something that raises a number of questions. The first and foremost being that the World Health Organization should actually be an all-inclusive body, one that needs to gather and pool expertise from all quarters wherever it is available. That is something which the WHO, by excluding Taiwan, is not doing, and something that it must consider as something that is necessary. The second is that neither the coronavirus nor diseases know national boundaries or can be segregated on the basis of race or religion or color, etc. Therefore, it is important that the world unite as one and look at all such pandemics, and here the entire world's well-being is at stake. Taiwan is very much a part of the community of nations, and can make how Taiwan has so ably controlled the outbreak of the coronavirus in Taiwan, and that too without taking the draconian measures that China did. In fact, going by Chinese accounts themselves, one can see that there was mishandling of a major kind in the initial stages of the outbreak of the coronavirus epidemic first and then pandemic in Wuhan, which is the capital of Hebei. In Wuhan, one hears about how provincial officials, firstly, let us start with the doctors, how they detected and came to certain conclusions. They were kept quiet. Then the provincial officials stepped in and they wanted to take a certain course of action. But as the Wuhan party secretary later said in a public press conference, that he had to wait for clearance from Beijing. So centralization of authority is what delayed this, though of course Beijing has been putting a gloss over it and saying that when they got to know of the outbreak, they began sending in teams and began taking necessary action. Whatever the case is, the fact is that the experience from more countries would have contributed to a better global response to the coronavirus epidemic. Another important issue is that of using the technology and the capabilities of all countries. Here, when the world together is getting together to fight this coronavirus pandemic, there is another area where we see a lot of cooperation, and that is in the development of vaccines. A number of companies are involved, a number of countries are involved, and the effort is not to develop a vaccine only for that nation or for that group. The effort is to develop a vaccine that can be distributed to all 7 billion people on this planet, and all of them can be inoculated so that we can get back to the normal routine that we all had and enjoyed prior to the coronavirus outbreak. There are, of course, questions as to whether this would be possible and when it would be possible. But one hears that probably by the end of the year, substantial progress would have been made and a vaccine would probably have been developed. When I say vaccine, I mean one that works and which has been cleared by the concerned authorities. The effort is, at least by a few governments, to ensure that the vaccine is developed and made available to the populace at a reasonable rate, at economical rates, and I think that is again an area where every country has to participate on the basis of whether one has good bilateral ties with a country or not is invidious. It is just something that cannot be done. Countries have to work together, and here China's stance seems to be rather petulant. In fact, China should welcome Taiwan to join the WHO and share its experience, it is China, after all, which claims that it is doing its bit and every other country should do its bit to tackle the pandemic. In which case, Taiwan is very much a part of the global community and should be brought in. The argument that Taiwan is a part of China or not is irrelevant, because here what people want is for it to come in as an observer into the World Health Organization, something which it has been earlier also, and that is regardless of whether it is a full-fledged member of the UN or not, whether others treat it as a full-fledged country or not, because that opens up a Pandora's box of history, which is something which is best avoided. However, I think certain moves have been made which look faintly promising. I stress faintly because, of course, there is opposition. And the World Health Organization itself have behaved in a manner that has raised a lot of questions. One doesn't know whether the questions are valid or not, but the popular impression has gained ground that things have not been entirely above board, and possibly it is the dictates of one country that also dictated the behavior and the statements emanating out of the World Health Organization. However, here what we see is today the United States pressing for the readmission of Taiwan into the World Health Organization. It has opted to request and urge the Director General of the World Health Organization to extend an invitation to Taiwan to come into the organization. This is not unique. Taiwan was a member of the World Health Organization earlier, and again at that time, if I'm not mistaken, at the request of the Director General of the World Health Organization. Now again, he can certainly extend an invitation to Taiwan, thereby also in a way repairing the reputation of the World Health Organization as an international global institution. China has objected and can be expected to continue objecting. Whether it chooses to make an issue out of it at this point in time, when China-US relations are already rather frayed and quite tense, remains to be seen. China, having objected in the past to a discussion on the coronavirus and its origins in the UN Security Council at a request made by Estonia, could think in terms or should think in terms of repairing its image and allowing Taiwan's readmission into the World Health Organization. I think that is something that would go a long way in getting the public to look at China afresh and not necessarily as an antagonistic power. Taiwan is a small country. It is not a member of the United Nations. It doesn't have diplomatic relations with too many countries. And these are factors that go against it. Apart from the fact that China has been intent on the reunification of Taiwan with the mainland. Of late, nationalist sentiments in China have been rising, demanding the forcible reunification of Taiwan with the mainland. However, there are an equal number, if not more, of voices advocating a rational approach, a long-term thought-out approach, and other methods by which Taiwan could be persuaded to join hands with the mainland. Allowing Taiwan readmission into the World Health Organization would be one step in this direction, and I think it would be something that would benefit all the countries concerned, including the world community at this time when there is a major health crisis going on. Thank you.